Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Denise Lancaster. I'm the program manager of Cleveland Clinic Lerner College of Medicine of Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine Faculty Affairs Department, and I'm glad you're here for the Fall 2025 Promote Workshop. I've been having these Promote workshops 2 or 3 times a year since I think it was 2018. So I'm glad you're here. There are recordings of this on our website under resources, and we are recording right now. Um, uh, Megan Wheeler will be joining us from CASE. I don't see her on yet, but I always go first. So she should be here by the time I'm done. If you can't see the Promote Workshop, PowerPoint on right now, let me know. Hopefully it changed to topics right now. If someone could just tell me if they see that, so I just
Yep.
make sure. Okay, thank
good.
you. Okay, wonderful. It's a great way to start. And what a great fall we've been having, right? And so we're going to talk about you promoting yourself. So what I mean by that is go ahead and apply for a faculty appointment or promotion and let the world know that you've been doing all the great work you've been doing. So the topics we're going to cover are why you should promote yourself, the different faculty tracks and ranks, the difference between an appointment and a promotion, moving between the two tracks we have, and then a transfer for anybody who might be new. And I mean new to Cleveland Clinic, but you have to be coming from a CASE affiliate. All right. So again, why should you pursue a faculty appointment? I think you should get credit for all the work you're doing. It's nice to kind of have your staff title match your faculty rank. So if you're full staff at Cleveland Clinic, but you don't have a faculty appointment, I think it's nice to have that match. You'll better position yourself to apply for grants if that's something you like to do. I'm going to pause for 1 second. Thank you for that brief pause. All right. If you apply for grants, you'll be better positioned. They usually want someone who has a faculty appointment, and they would usually want someone in the regular track. So they would not, they tend not to give large grants to someone who might, say, have a clinical assistant professor appointment. It gets you involved in academic medicine if that's what you're interested in. And you can also engage in policy and governance at CASE, which is something a lot of people are interested in, and it opens new avenues for your academic accomplishments. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, now you still maintain a Cleveland Clinic employee. You're still a Cleveland Clinic employee. Just because you get a faculty appointment doesn't mean that you become a CASE employee. But there are some benefits for faculty. You'll get a CASE ID card, email address, network access. You can use their gym. You can get discounts at their bookstore. Depending on your work location, those in Northeast Ohio or Northern Ohio can have access to CASE libraries. A lot of times they have some journals that Cleveland Clinic libraries may not. And you can also network with fellow faculty members, which is a benefit. So every track and rank at CCLCM is non-tenure. We have 2. We call it the regular track. That's what CASE calls full-time. And it's for anybody working at least 0.5 FTE at Cleveland Clinic or more. It requires you to be involved in academic medicine and some teaching. Then we have the clinical or adjunct track. CASE calls that part-time. And it's for people working less than 0.5 FTEs at Cleveland Clinic Or for somebody who's not as interested in academic medicine, they only want to do limited academic activities and teaching. The applications are much easier in the clinical or adjunct track. So some people decide that's the way they want to go, even if they do work full-time at Cleveland Clinic. But these are different. You can work, full-time at Cleveland Clinic and still apply in the part-time track at Case. All right. We have online something called our comparison tool, and I'll have the links in this PowerPoint, and I'll send it to everybody. You can either search all tracks, regular track, or clinical adjunct track. This next slide is going to show you a little of what it looks like. All right, I know it's hard to read, but if you can see on the far right, the 3 long columns mean that's a lot of documents you must put into your application to apply for associate professor, professor, or a promotion to either one of those. You can see on the left side, that's the clinical track, and you can see above the blue line, the applications don't require a lot of documents, so they're much easier. So a lot of people say, well, it's easier, I'll still be a professor. Well, you won't. You'll be a clinical professor or an adjunct professor. So that doesn't carry as much weight in the academic world, but you still, apply for what you choose. The only easy regular track application is assistant professor, and that's because it's a starting appointment and you're not required to have a reputation. So there's not as many documents you need to upload into your application. So let me explain what the appointments mean. So promotion is when you move up in the same track. So say you're currently an assistant professor and you're looking to promote to associate professor. That's a promotion. You start your application when you have the required reputation, and the average time of applying is between 4 and 10 years. Everybody differs. There's no required amount of years you have to wait, but it averages between 4 and 10. Now, an appointment is the first time you're applying or if you're changing tracks. So let me explain that. You start off, say, as clinical assistant professor, and a few years later, you're like, you know what, I want to be in the regular track. I'm doing a lot of lecturing. I'm writing papers. I want to be in the regular track. So you decide that you have the reputation for associate professor. You go ahead and apply, and that will be an appointment, not a promotion. Another thing is, say you're in the clinical track and you like the clinical track and you're a clinical associate professor right now and you want to move up. That would be a promotion in the clinical track, and you would apply for a promotion from clinical associate professor up to clinical professor. So if you're confused on that, again, you'll get these slides, or you can email us at our Faculty Affairs mailbox, and we will give you more information on it. Something that CASE offers are temporary appointments. So what this is for is you are applying for an appointment. You have no faculty appointment currently. You're applying for an appointment, and because in the regular track, applications can take 12 to 18 months to get final approval for associate professor and professor. The lower ranks go quicker and the clinical track goes quicker, but there is still some months that you do not have a faculty appointment. So what happens is you start your faculty appointment, you fill out the first 2 tabs in the online system, and that gives us, what you're applying for, tells us who your chair is, gives us your name and address and everything. And then you can email us and say, hey, I'd like a temporary appointment while I'm waiting. So we'll go ahead and say you're applying for associate professor. We'll get you a clinical associate professor. Now, this is given to you because we know you started an application and you're going to submit it no later than 12 months later. we'd prefer you to submit it in a few months. So this is not just an easy way to get a faculty appointment. It gives it to you because it's relying on you finishing your permanent appointment in our application system. And we can get these temporary appointments within a week for you. It's usually within 5 business days. So that's nice to know about. All right, so we were talking about the tracks. Let's talk about the ranks in the tracks. So regular track, as I mentioned, is full-time. And there's 4 ranks that we usually use. Instructor is only for certain staff titles in Cleveland Clinic Research, which used to be called LRI. So that isn't used very often. The other 3 are assistant professor, associate professor, and professor. So you do not have to start at assistant professor. Say you come here from Mayo Clinic and you're like, over there, I was an associate professor for like 7 years, and I believe I'm ready for professor now. You can go ahead and start an appointment application for professor if you meet our reputation requirements, which for most would be a national reputation. So it's good to talk to your chair. It's good to look at that comparison tool I showed you before so you can see what you need. And so we want you to come in at the rank that you're qualified for. So the regular track, it allows you to vote on case issues. So if they're hiring somebody and they form a committee over there, you could possibly be on it. You could be on standing committees, ad hoc committees about curriculum and faculty development. And so you'll be able to vote on those issues as well. So you can be as involved as you would like at case. So let me go over the clinical or adjunct tracks right now. These are the part-time ones, and I showed you that the applications are easier, but it doesn't carry the weight and the prestige that the regular track does. So what I also like to say is, for some people, they're like, I've never gotten a faculty appointment before. I just tell people I'm a staff member at Cleveland Clinic. Well, that's true, but every hospital system across the country calls their staff members something different. Some call them attendings. We use assistant staff, associate staff, staff, and some very varied other titles. It's nice if you have a faculty appointment because everybody out there in your societies and at meetings, they know what it takes to get a faculty appointment. So when you say you're a staff member, that doesn't carry as much weight as if you say I'm an associate professor. So that's another reason I think it's great to get a faculty appointment. In the clinical track, it's still great to have a faculty appointment in the clinical track. You still get all those benefits, but you're really limited on what you can do at case. There's hardly any committees that allow someone from the clinical track on them, and you're usually not allowed to vote on most issues either. But be aware that for both tracks, you can teach students. So if you have a clinical assistant professor appointment with us and a case student comes over from there or from UH or something, you're still allowed to teach them because we're all in the case family. All right. Primary area of excellence. Every rank needs one of these. Now, in entry-level ranks like clinical assistant professor or assistant professor, we don't require you to have a reputation in that primary area of excellence, but you still need to choose one. And there's 3 of them. The case has 3. And that's what we follow, of course, as well. So the one that's picked the most, about 90% of the time by most people filling out one of our applications, is professional service. And that covers clinical and administrative service. So anything you do clinically or administratively, local, regionally, or national or international on society committees, or maybe you do something with the American Heart Association, that's all professional service. Education teaching. About 2% of the people applying pick education or teaching as their primary area of excellence. That's because you need to be known as a teacher. So not all your papers, but many of your papers, instead of being about diabetes, would be about how to train a first-year resident on diabetes. So it's you write papers and lecture a lot on how to teach, and you're known for your teaching. And then the final primary area of excellence is research. And so this is generally used by full-time researchers that have grants. So I would, about 8% of people pick this, but I would say 98% of them are in the research department or LRI, or they're in an institute where they were hired to mostly do research. It's a harder reputation to get for research, and I'll explain that in a few slides. But those are the three areas. And for information on this, you can look at our application requirements. And we have new versions online, and I'll give you a link to that at the end of this presentation, and I'll send it to everybody. So there's a secondary area of excellence you need. These are acceptable contributions in a different area, but the only people that need to worry about these are regular track, associate professor, and professor. And again, the same three areas. So say you pick professional service as the area you have the most impact in. Second area of excellence, you would look at your CV and you would try to decide where is my next area of impact, where I'm known the most or do the most impact in my specialty. And you would decide if that's education or research. And again, you would follow the application requirements for more information on that. So the reputation requirements, it's your impact since your last appointment or promotion. So the ones that this applies to is associate professor and professor. It does apply in the clinical track too, but you definitely need more of an impact in the regular track. And that's what I'm going to talk about. So for professional service and education teaching, for associate professor, you need a U.S. regional or an emerging U.S. national reputation. Sometimes it's not easy to get a regional reputation. Maybe you're in anesthesia and they don't really have any Ohio society meetings or within the local states around us meetings. And so you're already presenting or trying to get on committees for the national association. So that's why it's U.S. regional or emerging U.S. national. Now for research, you need a national reputation for associate professor. So that's why it tends to be only people who do research, mostly full-time, because it requires a higher reputation and you do need some grants. It would, you couldn't use research as your primary area and say have no grants. Because you're competing with people who do get grants and do research all the time. Professor. All right, it ups it then. So professional service and education for professor, you need a U.S. national. Now, if you say, well, want to apply for associate and I already have a U.S. national, well, it has to be like a sustained or enhanced U.S. national for professor. For research, you need a sustained or enhanced U.S. national or international. So again, the standards are higher for research. And remember, once you get appointed, I like to tell people, no one's ever going to ask you what your primary area of excellence was. So there are some people who feel really strongly that they do a great job in research, but they really don't have any grants. So it's best to probably pick professional service as their primary area and to pick research as a secondary area because it doesn't require as high of a reputation. So if you need help with that, you can talk to your chair, read the application requirements, or you could email us at Faculty Affairs and we could give you some more information if needed. So there's a CV requirement for the regular track. In the clinical track, Our application requirements tell you that your CV needs to be neat, and easy to follow and everything. But in the regular track, you actually have to use our CCLCM CV template. This is a template provided by, worked on between Case and us. The Dean Gerson at Case wants it in this template. So you have to follow the template exactly. So the format and font must match. So we get people who say, well, I kind of followed it because it was too much work. Well, then we have to send it back to you so you follow it exactly. Because remember, the reviewers of your CV, when they go to vote on your application here in that case, they're looking at so many applications a year. And it really is helpful for them to see everything in our regular template. They know exactly where to look. They know nothing was missed, that you didn't leave something out that they would like to know about because you followed our template. Make sure to annotate where necessary. Remember, the referees, they're going to be in your specialty, but the reviewers may not be in your specialty. So you may be in dermatology and a pathologist may be reviewing your application for our approval committee, CAP and a case capped. So you want to annotate where necessary. If you won an award that is not known publicly, so it's known inside your specialty, you're going to annotate and say, this award is given every 3 years to the top person in the country, and explain that so they know it's a prestigious award and not something that's given out. Maybe, you put all awards on your CV, but you need to explain when it's a really important one. So people outside your specialty will understand. Don't leave anything off a CV. I've had some people turn in a CV and I'm like, I don't see anything listed when from when you were in training or like 5 years ago, and they're like, oh, I left all that off. You can't do that. Leave everything. Everything since medical school stays on your CV forever. Delete any sections that don't pertain to you. If you don't have a patent, then delete the subsection that talks about patents. All right, personal statement. We have a template for that too. It's required. There's one for the clinical track and the regular track. Again, same stuff. It should be understandable by a layperson. Don't use a bunch of abbreviations and jargons, just people in your specialty would know. And everybody is allowed 3 pages. All right, chair nomination letter. So you're going to want to choose a chair that knows you best. And we actually, it's easier for a chair that knows you, maybe does your APR, to write the best nomination letter to support you. So inside the application, once your CV and your personal statement are uploaded, you'll be allowed to request your chair to write your nomination letter. And you're going to click a link. It's going to send the chair an email. It's going to tell them what they should include in your letter. And you're going to get an email seeing what the chair was told. We suggest that you meet with your chair. So if your last APR was, say, 9 months ago, and your chair has no idea that you're ready to apply or promote, you really should meet with your chair, discuss your readiness, see if they support you. And then for associate professor and professor, appointment and promotion, your chair needs to provide 6 external referee names for you. So it's a good time to get those names is when you meet with them. All right. So senior appointment application materials, there's a little less than for a promotion. Not much, but a little less. You can see them all listed here. We already talked about CV, nomination letter, personal statement. Publications, you're going to want to look at our application requirements to see what ones you should upload. So you're going to upload between 3 and 5 into your application. These are ones that you're proud of, that show your impact. And there will be, again, information in the application requirements about that. Teaching evals and summary, if you're applying in education for your primary area of excellence, that's going to be mandatory. And it's also an educator portfolio will be mandatory. If education's your secondary area of excellence, doesn't hurt to have teaching evals in a portfolio, but that would be up to you. And then your application is going to require these referees. And you're going to put in more names than we require letters later. So I'll explain that better. You're going to be asked to put in 14 external names of people that are arm's length and do not know you personally. We need to get 6 letters. Once we get 6, and the other letters we need, we can move your application toward the next step. If you only put in 6 names and we needed 6, we probably wouldn't get them. So that's why we asked you to put in more names. Colleagues, you're going to put in 5 names and we need 2 letters. Trainees, you're going to put in 8 names and we need 4 letters. And you're also going to be listing your trainees in your CV. Review the template for that. So a quick timeline here. Faculty Affairs is going to process your application and solicit these letters. Once we have the letters, we're going to ask our CAP committee, Committee on Appointments and Promotions, to review and vote on your application. If you get approved, then our office here is going to need a little time to put everything together, write everything up, and send it over to Case. Case is going to take them in the order received, and promotions do get looked at depending on the time of year more often. Capped is you're going to be put on the capped agenda, and capped, which is the Committee on Appointments, Promotions, and Tenure at Case, they're going to vote on your application. If you get approved there, you still have to have approval from the dean, the provost, and the president. And then finally, the Case Board of Trustees will vote on your application. They meet monthly, and appointments become effective the date of that Board of Trustees meeting. So appointments just are always moving through the system. All right. Now we're going to talk about promotions. You need a couple little extra things. You need a declaration of candidacy form. You must have teaching evals. If for some reason you don't, there's an explanation to tell you what to do in the application requirements. But for promotions, they're required. You're still going to need the same amount of external and colleague and trainees. The good news is for a promotion, we only need 4 external letters. That will satisfy it. Appointments, you need 6. Promotions, you need 4. Same amount of colleague and the same amount of trainees. Now, the process is almost identical through this timeline. You're still gonna apply whenever you're ready. We're gonna work on your application, get the letters, get our CAP to vote on it. It's gonna go across the street to Case, and they're still gonna vote on it. And the dean, the provost, and president still need to approve it. The difference with promotions is they're only approved twice a year. So we send your promotion packet over to Case when it's ready. We do not worry about the Case deadlines for getting it to their dean and the Board of Trustees. We let them take care of that. When your application's ready, we send it. If it's in time for it to be in the next group that gets approved, it'll be in there. If it didn't make it, it'll wait for the next time. And so the Board of Trustees only votes twice a year on promotions, and that's in December and June. Promotions become effective January 1 or July 1. So the difference is an application could technically go quicker because they're voted on all the time. Promotion applications get voted on either for January 1 or July 1. The other thing I'll say is we can never tell you exactly how long an application will take, because a lot of times the hardest part is when we're trying to get referee letters for your application. Sometimes the 14 external names you put in aren't enough and we have to ask for more. So it's really important to follow the explanations, the requirements on how to pick external arm's length referees. So that's really important, and putting your CV in our template. Those are probably the 2 hardest and most important things. Applications that take a long time are either because you didn't pick good referees, arm's length external referees, and now we get letters that we can't use, and now we have to ask you for more names, or you pick people that you used to work with and you didn't follow the rules and you worked with them like 3 years ago and they can't be arm's length anymore. So those things, follow the rules really carefully on external referees and the CV template. This, when you get these this PowerPoint, this is a link at the top to our promotion, appointment and promotions webpage. There's 4 steps. Choose a rank. Choose what you think you can get approved by. Log in and start your application. Complete your application and then hit submit. If you don't hit submit, we will not look at it. We look at applications that are submitted and we do them in the order received. So sometimes we have so many applications, we may not get to your application for 2-3 weeks or more. But when we do, we're going to review it. And if something doesn't look like right, we will ask you to update it. So we want you to follow the application requirements carefully. But say you send us a personal statement and you didn't realize that it was 4 pages long. We're going to tell you, update your personal statement, because anything after 3 pages does not go to case because they will not accept it. So you do have time to fix things, but we really would like you to submit once everything's correct. It just makes it so much easier for you and us. Once everything's correct, we'll go ahead and start emailing your referees. We email them 4 times, a total of 4. When it's the final 4th time, you will get an email if we don't have all your letters in. So what'll happen is, say you're going for a promotion in the regular track, you need a total of 4 arm's length referee letters. We only have 3, and we're emailing the names you put in for the 4th time. We're going to send you an email saying, we think it's a good idea for you to put in more names. Some people put in 20 names right away because they want to try to get those letters as quick as possible. That's okay with us. But it could be that we ask you to put in more names. And you can check your application progress by going back in your application. There's a little line near the top that'll say how many letters are required and how many you've received. It's not a good idea to email us about that because, first of all, you shouldn't be talking to any of your referees. Once you put their name in our application, you should not be talking to them about it again. It's a confidential process. So if somebody says, oh, I wrote for you, first of all, you shouldn't talk about it anymore with them. Say you would have to talk to faculty affairs. I'm not allowed to discuss it. But if you email us and say, where is that letter? How come I don't see it? How come I don't see another, tick mark that I got another letter? There could be many reasons. We haven't gotten to it yet. It uploaded wrong. The person never did upload it, or they know you too well. They put in their letter that they think you're their best friend, and then that's not arm's length. We usually have no trouble getting colleague and trainee letters. It's the external arm's length that are hard to get. All right, I think I'm almost done here. Transfers, you can only transfer if you're at a CASE affiliated institution, which would be CASE, Cleveland Clinic, Metro Health, UH, and the VA. There's a transfer application. It's on our website, and you can transfer. You can't transfer from anywhere outside the system. So if you're an assistant professor at Metro Health, you've been one for like 3 years, you feel like maybe you're ready to apply for a promotion, you come here, you could go ahead, you got to transfer it, but then you could go ahead and apply for a promotion, but you got to get it transferred first. If you don't transfer it within a year or 2, you could lose it and have to start over. So it's really best to get that transfer done right away. All right, when you get this PowerPoint, all these blue underline are going to be links to our website, and all the documents I've been talking about are on there. I didn't mention the application step-by-step screenshots, but that's a great tool to use to apply and start your application online. And the final one. Any questions so far? So we are recording, but if you want to ask a question, you may. If you don't feel like being recorded, you can put it in the chat and I will look at it and read it out loud. Okay, I don't hear anybody. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing. And wonderful Megan Wheeler is here, and she is the manager of faculty affairs at Case. And I don't know, we just think she's great. We prefer you don't talk to her ever, though, which sounds funny. But what we prefer is because we have a faculty affairs department, we would like you to ask us your questions. If I don't know the answer, then it's a learning time for me, and I'm going to contact the wonderful Megan, and she is going to know the answer. And if she doesn't, she's going to find it and give it to me. And then I'm going to store it here. I'm going to share it with my coworkers. We're going to write it down, and we're going to email you back, and then all of us will have the answer. And then I'll be ready for next time someone throws a curveball at me and I'm not sure. But Megan, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks. Sorry I was a couple minutes late. I'm had some
Oh,
Wi-Fi issues.
that's
Um,
we understand that.
but yeah, I have a few slides I can get into
Yes,
just to keep the ball rolling.
yes.
Let me know if they pop up the wrong way though. Oh, that's not what I want.
Uh,
Are you seeing the
oh, now it
whole
looks
thing or
perfect. I'm
mine? Okay.
seeing faculty promotions October 8th.
Amazing. Okay.
Yes.
So I will probably cover a few of the same things Deneen mentioned. I'm just going to focus a little bit more on full-time senior level promotions from the university perspective a little bit. So just to give you a quick, again, I'm Megan, to give you a quick overview of our office. We have Nicole Deming, who is our assistant dean. Susan Reichert is our director. She is currently managing the School of Medicine CAPT, who will review full-time senior level packets. Myself, I'm the manager of faculty affairs. We have Joyce Houghton, who's our department administrator. And then we have three coordinators who kind of focus on different aspects of the faculty lifecycle process, Audra, Justin, and Katie. We also have a general email fac affairs, but like Deneen said, her and her team are very, very well versed in all of this. And they are a great first stop or final stop for questions. We can always collaborate, but yeah, definitely go to them first. Um,
Megan, can I say
yeah,
one thing? On the
sure.
screen, we're seeing a little white box that says Save to iDrive. Do you see that
Oh,
on yours? It's like
I do
covering
not.
up case EDU of Nicole. It's like up in the upper left quadrant.
It is not showing up for me. Let me see if I can try something.
It's even right now. Does anybody else see it or is it just me?
No, I don't see it.
Oh, then go ahead, Megan. It's all
Oh,
on
okay.
my end. I'll just ignore. Thank you, everyone. I should have thought of that. It's all me, Megan. Sorry. You go
Okay.
ahead.
Good. No worries. Um, Let's see here. There we go. Okay. And I did want to mention we are hosting a faculty toolkit session. These are sessions our faculty development team hosts once a month. They kind of take a break in the summer, but they're back, and there's one on October 21st about tenure and promotion. I know that promotion is the only part that would be relevant to you guys, but it'll be a really great workshop. Members of the CAPT will be there. Nicole will be hosting, and then we'll have a deep dive workshop immediately afterwards where we will take a closer look at the materials the candidates submit to us. I'll share these slides with Deneen, and there will be links the here and here if anyone would like to sign up. But yeah, highly recommend attending if you're available. And then just to get into, like Deneen mentioned, there are 5 academic ranks in the School of Medicine. Instructor and senior instructor are less common, but those are junior level ranks along with assistant professor. And then associate professor and professor are the senior level ranks. This is true for full-time and part-time, or I believe it's the clinical adjunct track or the regular track at the clinic. But these are the ranks you'll see across the board. And when we are appointing faculty members, what we're looking for is someone with an expert knowledge in their field, commitment to continuing development of their field, a dedication to effective teaching, commitment to a continuing program of research or other advanced creative activity, and a willingness to assume a fair share of university administrative and service tasks. This is pulled directly from our faculty handbook. Again, it's linked here. It's a great resource if you want to learn more about what it is to be a faculty member at Case Western. Yeah. And just to give you a little bit more of a detailed aspect or idea of the promotion timeline, again, like Deneen mentioned, they're approved twice a year, January 1st and July 1st. In order to meet all deadlines at the School of Medicine, we need the packets about 4 to 6 months ahead of those deadlines, or 6 to 8 months sometimes. But there's several deadlines that fall into that, which is part of why these processes take so long. They need to be reviewed by a number of people, and they're looked at very closely. So just something to keep in mind if this is a process you're in. It is a time investment, but it is very worthwhile. For promotions, we ask all candidates to identify areas of excellence. You're evaluated on 3 dimensions, which would be research, education, and clinical care. The clinical care is a bit of a new phrase. I believe it was just approved like 2 weeks ago to sort of be a little more specific, because professional service is something that can fall under all these categories, and clinical care is an attempt to recognize clinical faculty or faculty in clinical departments a little more clearly. So it'll be a similar breakdown, I think, to what Deneen mentioned in her presentation, but just something to keep in mind. The phrasing has updated a little bit, and I apologize, Deneen, that was an oversight on my part. But we ask you to identify a primary and then also a secondary area of excellence where you are making additional contributions. I know that a lot of people are probably making significant contributions in many areas. It's just good to sort of narrow it down a little bit and make it clear to us the 2 you want to focus on. In the non-tenure track, which is all clinic faculty, if your major strength is education or clinical care, you must present evidence of recognition at a regional or emerging U.S. national level for associate professor and a U.S. national level for professor. As mentioned, if education is your primary area of excellence, you are required to submit an educator portfolio. We welcome them from other faculty as well, but you have to have one if your primary area is education. The main categories we're looking for in these are your philosophy of teaching, a teaching inventory, important teaching contributions, evaluations and awards, and we want it to be no more than 25 pages. It is important that you kind of follow these guidelines just so that we can evaluate people on an even field and we understand what we're getting from each packet. If you choose clinical excellence as your primary area, we're looking for participation in professional societies, invitations to present at academic medical centers on clinical expertise, and development of new practice methods and recognition. Research is a little bit different than the other 2, in part because we can look at it through individual accomplishments or team science accomplishments. If you do identify as a team scientist, it should be made clear in your packet that you are choosing to sort of identify that way. And then it should also be clear to us why you in particular are essential to the team that you're working. So just something to keep in mind there. And then if you do select research, the level of recognition we're looking for associate professors, the US national level, or professor would be a sustained excellence and enhanced recognition. We want all candidates to really demonstrate their service to the School of Medicine in the framework of the areas that they excel most in. And to sort of help us understand this, we've kind of identified these lenses of authorship, scholarship, and impact. This is how the School of Medicine CAPT will be evaluating these packets, just so that they can kind of make sure we're recognizing everyone's contributions to the school. So for authorship, we're looking to understand your role and describe your involvement and highlight your leadership roles at the university or in faculty activities that you participate in. Scholarship, we want to understand the reach of your activities and explain an explanation of how other people are being made aware of your contributions. And then for impact, it's important that we understand the results that you're getting through your authorship and scholarship. When you are kind of creating your packet, we find that for faculty candidates, it's most important that you're explaining your activities and your authorship, your scholarship in depth to us, just because you're the one participating in that day to day, and you have the best understanding of how your expertise is being shared and your impact on your patients, colleagues, community, field day to day. With nomination letters or letters from your chair or division chief, we're looking for them to sort of bridge the gap between the activity you're participating in and the impact of that activity. Because they are experts in their field, they are really well positioned to evaluate your contributions and help the CAPT or other evaluators appreciate your contributions. For your CV and your personal statement, I think these are really, really essential documents because they're something that allow you to most directly explain your contributions to reviewers and referees and whoever else might be chiming in on your packet. The CV, we again ask for it in the standard case format, which Deneen and her team are really, they have a lot of resources to get everything into that format. They're really helpful. They are experts at that. All the CVs from the clinic always look great, so we're very thankful. And then our bit of advice would be to regularly update your CV and keep it current. It makes it a lot easier than if you come back to it after being an assistant professor for 5 years and say, I'm going to go up for promotion. Now I have 5 years worth of activity to put into my CV. Everyone is doing so much every year. That's a lot for you to do at once, and things are going to get left out. So yeah, definitely something we hammer home every time we talk about this is keeping your CV current. As for your personal statement, we really would like it to be organized from strongest to least strong area of contribution. So that's the clinical care, education, and research. And your primary area of excellence should be clear in your personal statement. We also really recommend that you try to use the authorship, scholarship, and impact, or I think the other words we've been using are role, reach, and results. Alliteration is sometimes helpful, I guess, but really recommend that you try to use that framework because I think it does help reviewers understand your contributions a little bit better. Not everyone is, as Deneen mentioned, going to be an expert in your field, so having a sort of even starting point that they know what to look for in each one is really helpful. And then just some feedback that we get regularly of things that were helpful in the promotion process. People always say that mentorship is really essential, having mentors and having peers that are similarly situated to you and that you can work with and discuss with ends up being pretty indispensable. And we really encourage you to use your annual review to your benefit and sort of set the agenda with your chair and ask for kind of what your progress towards promotion is, what your chances for promotion are, what you can be doing to increase your chances. or to just contribute more to your department, which will always help in a promotion. We also really encourage you to get known outside of CASE, to meet colleagues at other institutions, to take part in professional organizations, to present your work and make your sort of expertise known outside of CASE. This always ends up being really helpful and can help, especially when it comes to like selecting referees. This can be a really helpful thing to keep in mind. This kind of circles back to, excuse me, this circles back a little bit to the CV, but we find that teaching is oftentimes one of the weaker aspects of candidates' files, not because they're not doing it, but because they're not keeping regular track of their teaching. So we really, really encourage you to like either have a place that you're keeping track of that regularly that you know you can put into your CV, or to just, again, regularly update that CV. And we do require teaching evaluations and a summary of evaluations. The summary will be more so from your department, but the evaluations themselves are from the courses that you're teaching. And this is expected for all promotion packets. Service contributions, again, very important, but we find that sometimes people will take on too much. I know that people are already busy and then they have all these service opportunities maybe that are presented, and it's things that they're passionate about, but taking on too much, you're not able to devote enough time to it. We don't want people to get overwhelmed any more than they have to. And then yeah, so that's something Nicole tends to emphasize, is especially for junior faculty, you should really think very carefully before you accept any sort of assignment like that. I think it's also important to remember that service is a very broad concept and means a lot of different things. Committees, administrative contributions, review committees, community health efforts. It's a very broad concept, and that's just a good thing to keep in mind. And then this kind of circles back to our authorship, scholarship, and impact, but scholarship is always going to be a key aspect of promotion. The way that you communicate your work to other people outside of your field is so essential, because it really pushes up the impact of your work. So those two are pretty tied together, and we want to see what you're doing to communicate and how that is impacting your field. And similar to scholarship, there is not a single definite, or similar to, sorry, what was I saying? Service contributions. There's no single definition of scholarship. It is a broad concept that includes a lot of different action items. Yeah. And then finally, we find it's really important to find your niche in your department. There are so many talented people within our community, and it's really essential to find a role that you're passionate about and that is specific to you. Yeah, that's all I have.
That's wonderful, Megan. That's good. And there is that change. I was waiting till that October 21st a toolkit you talked about to learn more about it, but it's starting to make sense.
Yes, I'm glad.
Yeah.
It's been a learning process, I think, but in the long run, it does seem like it'll be a really helpful thing, not only for candidates, but for reviewers. So I'm really excited about the changes that have been made.
Okay, good. And I'm excited to learn more about them. And I do think it will really help candidates that feel like they're doing a lot, but maybe can't tick off actual presentations at society meetings or something like that. This will help show their impact of everything they're doing. All right, any questions from anybody? After all that riveting PowerPoints by both of us, you all just must have just screaming out to raise your hand. Oh.
I just have one question. If we are not sure where to put something on our CV, like under which section it goes to, can we email you, Janine? Is that something you can help with?
Yeah, the best is to email our faculty affairs mailbox, which is CC, what is it? Faculty, jeez. I've known it for almost 8 years now, and I forgot it for a second. Faculty, how do I not know this? Now I'm scared. Um, Faculty Affairs, CCLCM at ccf.org. And it'll be in the PowerPoint. It's best to email that email box because we have someone who monitors it. And if they're out, we all monitor it, the ones that aren't out. If you send it to me, it may take longer, so it's best to send it to the box. But let me say this, so the CV template, when you look at the Cleveland Clinic one, there's information above every section that tells you what belongs there. And then there's also a sample CV that I created, and you can open that PDF and see examples that may trigger to you, oh, that's what goes there. I made up a bunch of stuff and pulled stuff, changed names, and made it to really show what belongs in those sections. And, sometimes someone will email me and I'll say, well, it really could go under professional service section, or it could go somewhere under the teaching activities section. So I could give you two choices maybe, but the most important thing is consistency. If you're like doing a bunch of quality projects and you're putting it under internal committee service, or you're putting it under research quality projects, just make sure you put them all there. You should not like put one thing here, one thing there when they're all the same type. So, and looking at the CV template could remind you of other things you're doing that you never thought you should even put on your CV. So, I've had people tell me, well, I didn't lecture at another institution, but they call me regularly and they're setting up a transplant program just like we have, and they want my knowledge. And I said, well, a phone call with them, that's really a committee. You're on a committee with that institution, and you're teaching them how to open a transplant program like you have. So you should talk about that in your personal statement, but you should also find a spot on your CV to put that. It maybe wouldn't go under committee service, maybe it would go under professional, but anyhow, be consistent and don't leave anything off. And like Megan said, monthly or whatever, mark your Outlook calendar to give you a reminder to update your CV. Like she said, it's really hard after a few years. People spend so much time going through all their emails. When did I lecture at the University of Michigan? I don't remember if it was 23 or 24. If you start updating your CV when you go to apply or promote, you'll be so happy. You will. Any other questions? Or like questions on external referees, that usually is something that people have a difficult time with. So our application requirements are on our website, and they're long. I've been told they're too long, but they're long for a reason, because almost every question someone has asked me, I put in those application requirements. Like, can my chair also be a referee? It's in there. No, they can't. Um, I worked with someone 7 years ago. Can they be arm's length referee? Yes, they can. The limit is 5 years. So now if you say you moved here from Mayo and it's been 6 years, you can put people there down as an arm's length as long as you're not doing something else with them. Like say you wrote a paper last year. Well, that's, that falls within the 5 years. But can my mentor from fellowship be an arm's length? I haven't talked to him since I graduated. No, they can't. Mentors, because of the relationship they have with trainees, they can never be an arm's length referee. So All these and many more questions that you're dying to ask are in the application requirements. But if you can't find the answer, please email the Faculty Affairs mailbox and we'll figure it out and write you back. Any other questions? And we do have on our website, if you wonder like, oh, I'd like so-and-so to be a mentor. I wonder if they have a faculty appointment. You can look up all CCLCM faculty on a public site on our website, and I'll be sending you that link in the documents as well. All right. Well, we have more time if you have more questions. If not, we'll call it early. All right. Well, I really appreciate you being here. I will get this recording up on the website, the one from May's on there as well. And then I really encourage you, like Megan said, to attend that October 21st toolkit. Megan, they're going to record it, right? So if someone can't make it, they can watch it later.
I believe the initial hour toolkit will be recorded. The
Right.
workshop afterwards will not.
Right. Okay. But yeah, we encourage everybody to apply and get recognized, promote yourself. And thank you for being here, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.